My husband said something weird to my sister. I am not the oop. Oop is throw ra red read. Original October 25th, 2022. My husband and I have been married for 2 years now and things are not perfect. We're both type A personalities with six-figure jobs and very big egos. We both really like to win, and when we disagree it can be very difficult to resolve. We are trying to be better and we do love each other deeply. Neither one of us wants a divorce and we want things to work. We get each other like nobody else does. My husband and sister are very close. When she found out we were getting married, she was overjoyed. They text each other frequently and are always very happy to see each other. We recently took a family trip to a beach house. My siblings were there, their spouses, my parents, my nieces and nephews, and me and my husband. I was tired, so after dinner I decided to lay down. I woke up. It was late, and my husband wasn't in bed. I walked out of the room and saw my sister and husband on the couch. She had her feet in his lap, and they were talking softly. I know I shouldn't have, but I hung back to see if I could hear anything. My sister asked a question that I couldn't really hear but seemed to be struggling to phrase. My husband said, "Yes. The answer is yes. And yes. The answer is no." She replied, "I know." I went back in our room at that point and I've been reeling ever since. I'm worried about what they were saying, but I'm scared to say I was eavesdropping. I never saw them that close before, and it seemed like crossing a line. Do I tell him not to talk to her anymore? Do I ask her what was said? I feel like no matter what I do I look crazy. Edit. What, not scat, though it seems an awful lot like scat. Relevant comments from Oop. Zaba Gale commented, "Do I think about you romantically? Yes. Can we act on it? No. I'm sorry, but this would be the first place I went in my head." Oop responds, "Mine too. I don't know how I feel. This was a bombshell. I am still processing everything that's happened. I want to fix things with Derek. I don't want to make Ashley feel worse. I just want things to work." Update November 3rd, 2022. It's been about a week since I posted. I walked in on my husband and sister in a very intimate position whispering to each other, and I heard half of a conversation. My husband said the answer was yes and the answer was no. Family dynamics. I have 3 siblings. Mark, 38M, Lucy, 34F, and Ashley, 32F. Mark is married with 2 daughters and a son. Lucy is married with 1 son. I am married with no children. And Ashley is single with no children. In terms of relationships, I am closest to Mark and Ashley is closest to Lucy. I talked to Mark about what I'd seen and he got very angry. He told me that I needed to say something to my husband, Derek, or he would. I decided to take a chance and called up Lucy. I explained what I had seen, and she was very quiet. She told me she knew what was going on, and it's not what I think, but that I should talk to Derek and Ashley. When Derek got home from work, I told him we needed to talk and told him I had overheard them talking the other night. He nodded but didn't say anything. I told him that I needed him to be honest about the relationship between him and Ashley. Ashley and Derek both suffer from depression. There are days I come home and find Derek laying expressionless on the couch. This was odd to me at first, and I tried to motivate him but realized that when he has a bad day like that, I just need to accept that he's not going to get off the couch or do anything until it's time to go to bed. I will put a blanket on him, make him tea, sit with him, and put something lighthearted on the TV. And he's usually better the next day. Ashley is constantly overwhelmed, feels like she's letting everyone down, and has very bad depression spells. The first Christmas I was seeing Derek, she had one, and she was on the verge of tears all morning. Her mood improved towards the middle of the day, and that's when she and Derek became good friends. She later on told me that Derek talked her through things and helped her to feel strong enough to get through the day. It was actually one of the things that made me fall in love with him. That he looked after my family and stepped up to help Ashley. Derek explained that they had become close over the years and had really been able to lean on each other when depression struck. After I went to lay down, they hung out with Mark, Lucy, and their spouses, having a few drinks together. When everyone decided to head to bed, Ashley could not find one of her AirPods. So she and Derek were crawling around on the kitchen floor looking under the cabinets, appliances, and the table and chairs to find it. They were both drunk, in close quarters, and got very giggly. They eventually found it and sat down on the couch to talk. He claims she put her feet in his lap to be playful and they both started laughing. He admitted that he had talked to her about the fact we hadn't been intimate in 6 months and how he felt like I shut him out when he needed affection. She talked about how he was the only person that she ever felt safe and comfortable with in her life. She never got the question out, because he anticipated it. He said she said something along the lines of, "When we're together, is there a feeling? Like, do you feel?" Which is when he told her the answer was yes, and then told her that the answer was no before she could say anything else. He told her that he loved me and wanted to work through our issues. He said that he would always love her, but it would always be as a sibling. He said that they spoke the next day when they were sober and agreed that they needed to set boundaries and not let themselves get that close with each other. He showed me his phone and that he and Ashley hadn't texted since that day. He told me that he only wanted to be her friend, but recognizes that they were both very near lines that should not and could not be crossed, and they needed to cool off and redefine their friendship. He swears that's all that happened. I want to believe him because the portion I overheard lines up with what he told me happened. And I did not tell him what I overheard. I called Lucy back, and she confirmed that this is what she heard from Ashley. When I spoke to Ashley, she cried a lot and kept apologizing. She said she knows she crossed a line and swears on her life she would never try to take my husband from me. She promised that she wouldn't ever cross that line again and told me she loves me about 1,000,000 times. I don't really what to do now. Derek and I are talking about our intimacy issues in addition to everything else and trying to be more open about our feelings. We're going to be bringing this up in therapy and trying to figure out a way to deal with things. This really was a bombshell, and while not as bad as I thought it could be, I'm really not happy with how it turned out. Relevant comment from Oop. I don't know how I feel. This was a bombshell. I am still processing everything that's happened. I want to fix things with Derek. I don't want to make Ashley feel worse. I just want things to work. On intimacy problems. We both work late and we're exhausted when we get into bed. I shower at night. He showers in the morning. One of us always feels gross at any given time. I honestly hadn't realized that it had been 6 months. I guess he was more aware than I was. It is an issue and one that I want to fix, especially because it's affecting him so deeply. We're busy with work. He's initiated a few times and I've declined. I've been on my period, or too tired, or I just showered, or I feel sweaty and gross. We have no children. Our schedules don't lend themselves to it at the moment, and it's easy to slip my mind. I'm going to be more aware going forward. I am not the Oop. I remember this story. I really thought there was more updates. She told me she knew what was going on. And it's not what I think. And yet, it was exactly what everyone thought. This doesn't seem like a healthy marriage, like they aren't really there for each other. Sue. What did sis mean when she said, "It's not what you think"? 'Cause with what Oop was thinking, and what I was thinking reading along, is exactly what it turned out to be. Single sis wants the hubs. and actually said something to him about it. What other possible interpretation is there? This isn't ending well. Oof. All of it feels messy. Good that the husband shut it down. And it seems like the sister is also regretting her actions. But he went 6 months unhappy about a total lack of sex, a solid 25% of their 2-year marriage, and addressed it with her sister before having a direct conversation. And OP's list of reasons not to have sex includes both just showered and feel sweaty, making acceptable sex window really small, with no further reflection on why that is or what the impact may be. I don't think anyone owes their partner sex. I do think that people owe one another introspection and honest conversation when there's a significant or concerning change in their sex life, especially in the context of a monogamous marriage. She told me she knew what was going on. And it's not what I think. It was exactly what she thought it was. Yeah, I bet the intimacy issues they have are going to get worse, and the awkward Christmas meeting. I'm sure if Ashley was behaving this way with the other sister's husband, the other sister wouldn't just say, "It's not what you think," when it really is what we think. I get it. Sometimes the person you love isn't right for you, and someone else feels safer. I can see such a situation developing between friends you are comfortable, and then suddenly you are crossing certain lines. But at least be honest. But confiding in your wife's sister and getting so close they start developing feelings? That's just a no. Several lines were already crossed here. Okay, 2 years in. Recurring depression, 6 months no sex, and an emotional affair with wife's sister. Yeah, not gonna last. Okay, I'm already seeing comments throwing the term out, and it's rapidly becoming a major pet peeve. So PSA. Codependency doesn't mean whatever you think it means. It doesn't mean it's a close relationship I don't like. It's a person's behavior that affects their ability to form a healthy, mutually beneficial relationship. Are either the husband or the sister putting themselves in a martyr situation to be in a relationship with the other? Are they being compulsive and self-defeating? Does either of them feel helpless, like they have no choice but to be in this relationship? Do they have an unhealthy dependence? Unhealthy, once again, not meaning something I don't like, and dependence not meaning they are close on this relationship to the point they will hold on to it to the point of disaster because of their fear of abandonment? Do they feel an exaggerated sense of responsibility for the action of others? They became friends with each other, caught feelings, acknowledged them, and then got distant. Is that really hurtful to the OOP? Yes. Is that abnormal? Unhealthy? Obsessive? No. And if your answer to that last question was yes, then for the love of God, get a dictionary and/or a healthy sense of perspective so you can stop misusing therapy words to make your points have more weight. Stop pathologizing everything. Most assholes, people you don't like, don't have a mental illness or a disorder. How much y'all wanna bet this relationship will fall apart in 6 months or less? This is very suspicious for a trickly truth situation. OOP happened to walk in on the moment they got as close to cheating as they've ever been. Not a good sign that you have only been married 2 years but not intimate for 6 months. I understand some have a very low drive or are not sexually motivated, but the fact that Derek brought that up as an issue tells me that is not the dynamic that was established in their relationship. Also understand that intimacy can fall off as life gets busy. Kids. But 6 months. I hope they get therapy and figure out their issues. You're having intimacy issues? Then talk with your wife and not her sister. Sister and husband both knew exactly what they were playing at. It's rude, Hurtful and disrespectful of them, and if Oop hadn't asked, they'd have resumed where they left off. Being depressed, and I say this as someone who's actively suffering from it for 2+ decades, is not an excuse to be actively getting close to your Sil. That energy could have and should have been directed towards his wife and their marriage. I don't know how Oop and her husband got married. They don't seem compatible with each other. Oh, nothing happened, but something did happen. Even if they decided to not pursue their mutual attraction for one another, Oop's husband and sister were still playing with fire and crossing all kinds of boundaries. I couldn't continue having a relationship with either of them after that, tbh. So I guess Oop was just fine believing her sister was actually innocent, and cool with the fact that her husband was clearly having an emotional affair with her sister, and just gave them both forgiveness. I don't even think she realized it was an emotional affair to begin with. And boy, would I be upset if I found out my husband was going to my sister with details of ourself life or lack thereof. This is already an emotional affair, and any attempts to sidestep that fact will undermine their efforts to work on their relationship. The conversation got way too intimate, and the husband should not have spoken to his Sil about intimacy issues with his wife, especially when he knows and even later acknowledges that he knows they're both into one another. With how this all played out, I actually believe they haven't gone physical yet. But this is far beyond appropriate as it is.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.